Hi, welcome to Arty Crafty Alchemy. Today I am making my project for the Scrapbooking and Craft design team. I'm the Arty Crafty Alchemist. Let's get started. This time Melinda has sent some doors. Now these two you can use individually or they stack nicely on top of each other to give an inlaid door effect, which is pretty cool. I am going to attempt to do an easy card and a harder card, so we'll see how we go. I'm going to start with a piece of cardstock and I may end up trimming that down at some point, but for right now it is perfect. I've cut a piece of acetate to be big enough to cover up the window, and I'm just going to stick that down in the middle, and I've used some Tombow mono glue on it. It's just a little placeholder for a minute or two. Then I have this Tim Holtz stencil, and if you watched my haul from the other day you'll know that I got it from Scrapbooking. It was in my last haul video. I'm going to grab some mint tape and tape this down. I am going to do to there and let it dry, and then I'll do the other side. I've got some Nouveau Glacier paste in Hot Red. I have a little spatula that I'm going to lay this on with. Even though Glacier paste goes on a little bit thick, it dries very flat. Because I have acetate here, I am trying to go off the edge away from the acetate. So sit the lid back on that for a minute, and I'm going to lift the stencil, and then I'm going to move this out of the way a minute. Some water, just going to clean up really quickly. Going to set that aside to dry for a few minutes, and then when that's dry I will come back and do the other side. This is going to be the harder card. In the meantime, we'll continue on with the easier cards. So for this one, I've cut a piece of brick wall from the Craft Stall Flourish paper pad. It's also Rosie's Studio Flourish. And I'm going to take the stress paint. I was going to gesso this first. However, I don't want to make it pure white because the bricks are not pure white. So I thought I would just swipe this on in light layers and see what happened. Going to blast it with my heat tool between layers. Going to keep all the strokes in the one direction so that it kind of gives it a wood look. Just going to add a little bit of colour around the edges, and that's one finished door. I have a piece of vellum. Glue it onto the back of this piece. Just using my craft pick to get rid of the little bit of extra glue that seeped out. That was my fault. I wiggled the vellum around a little too much. Just got some tape. This is the Crafter's Companion tape, which I find quite nice. I managed to get an amazing deal, I think. I probably should have bought 20 rolls instead of just 10, but oh well. Need to trim that to the same length. This one's approximately 11 centimeters tall. I'm going to tape that piece to the middle, and I have pre-coloured this Christmas tree. It is from Trim the Tree from Lawn Fawn. I want to approximately cut this in half. I'm going to take some glue and glue this on. Hope I get it in the right spot. Looks pretty good to me. And then I have a star. And I may actually use another one because it's just going to be easier if I cut a piece off that. Glue the star down, and then I can add some glue to the back of the door. Just add a little bit of glue behind there so it stops popping up. And then I can add my door on the top. Going to put some stuff on the top of that to hold it down for a minute. This is a little scrap from when I cut around the Christmas tree. I didn't use the dies because I didn't want to border, and I didn't want to pull out the scan and cut for one item. I have Nouveau Black Shadow because my memento is Lord knows where right now. These are the colours I used for the Christmas tree. G29, G28 and G19 for the green. Y18 for the lights, R27, R24 and R22 for the base and Leone gold wherever it's gone. For the trim, I did actually intend to make it golder, but it probably won't show through the vellum, so I didn't worry about it. And for the trunk, 59, 39 and 37. I'll just fussy cut that out and I'll be right back. Moved a lot of stuff because having a baby in the house, so I needed to move a lot of my craft stuff out of the way. So I can't find half my stuff. No idea where a piercing pad would be, so I'm just piecing some holes in this tree. I'm trying to alternate where they are. Oops, that one's a bit big. I forgot to mention that this background dotty piece is from this craft store mini stack, and then this argyle piece is from this craft store mini that has been in my stash for a little while. I managed to find a wad of paper towel, so that's good. So I'm going to put a hole in this off center, but I'm going to make it bigger than the others. I will actually make these holes a little bigger. I need to cut my argyle piece down, and that layer is 11.5 centimeters. I'm using the argyle to try and line this up, and my tree is not straight. I'm going to press that down. Again, I'm going to trim one of these off. Now I need to punch through the paper layer as well. I'm going to set that aside for a few minutes, and I'm going to grab my archival black and colour these door frames black instead of white. I'm going to blast them with heat tool. You can see some spots I've missed, so I'm just going to go back over those spots. Your ink pad's nice and juicy. One coat will be enough, but if it's a little bit dry you may need to do more than one coat. Next I'm going to take my piece of vellum, and I've actually used this vellum for this card on that card, so I need to trim this one down a hair. I'm going to glue this on the back. Press it on really well. Again, I've got a little bit of glue where I don't want it, so I'm just going to gently scrape that off. Now I'm going to glue this layer to bottom layer. This is where the fun bit is, trying to layer these two up. Again, I'm going to put something heavy on top of that. Now while that's drying, I'm going to bring this back and start drying it with the heat gun. The acetate is heat resistant acetate. The stencil was here, and so I'm going to flip it over and line those bricks back up a little. It's not going to be perfect, but I'll be able to do the other side. I'm going to put the lid on that for now. I'm going to put that aside for a minute. Now I'm going to dry the other half of the panel. Next time I need to let it dry flat and not hurry it along because I made a hot mess on the other side. I need to tape this panel on, but I'm going to be very careful where I put the tape. I am going to trim a little off each side, and then some off the top. Now I'm going to dab through the cardboard as well. And I'm going to attach it to an offcut for a little bit of extra stability. And then again, stab through the holes. As you can see, you can't really see the tree through that. Now going to take a base piece that I'll stick this all onto, and I'm going to put a pencil through the holes to mark where they are. Now I'm going to add lights, but I'm probably not going to add lights to every single hole, so we'll see how this goes. You can see the pattern there. I can never seem to get these to work very well, so we'll see how many I need. I think perhaps I'll add the push me here. We have to be up around here. It's going to cut a piece from this tree that I messed up. I'm going to grab a battery, fold that over and get rid of that. I'm going to add a good strong piece of tape onto it. Now I can add my first bit of tape, and I'm going to go straight to the middle and super close to those lines. I need to fold back on itself. Bone folder would be better for this, but I don't know where my bone folder currently is. So I'm just pressing it down with this. I ended up moving ahead. There are tutorials on how to use these lights on YouTube. I'm not great at it. It took me 8 or so hours to get this much to work, and it only works when it wants to. And not get that one to stay on. But 8 out of 9 isn't bad. I think that's just too many lights. The circuit is too close together. This image, I probably should have only chosen one light from each row to light up. But because I have these here, they are too close together and it's interfering with the lights. It made it harder for me to get around the corner. This is actually the third circuit I made. I switched to smooth cardstock because I did another tester. I found that the smooth cardstock actually worked better to make the circuit, so I'm going to keep that and save it for something else. I would actually love some of the pear blossom lights. They look so much easier to use. But of course I don't have any, so I have to use what I have. I also discovered that the double door that I made is not going to work. I was hoping to be able to see the Christmas tree behind the door, but it just doesn't show up at all. You can't really tell there's a Christmas tree except by those lights. So I'm going to go back and do another one of these doors, but in black. I'm just going to grab my archival, do this again. Now I'm going to glue my door to my panel. I'm going to weigh that down. I should have done that before I added the tape to the back, but I like to do things backwards. I have the push here stamp set from Lawn Fawn. I'm just going to find the pull here. I'm just going to ink up the word pull, and I'm going to put that just at the top of our little tab. Under here you can see this time I actually used a template for where the lights were going to go. So that helped me line up my strips of copper tape. Oh, I only have one layer on that end, so I need to double up that layer. As you can see, I've left space for the housing. Going to remove all the tape backing. Actually, I'm going to put glue on tape as well so that I can slide it around to make sure I get it in exactly the right spot. Pretty generous with the glue because this is a panel that's going to go on top of my card base. It is actually pretty much perfect placement. Again, I'll sit some heavy stuff on top of it to get it to dry, clean up my mess. And now I'm just going to stick this tab in. There's one of my failed attempts. I just layered up this Merry Christmas die. There's 3 white die cuts behind it and then some gold foil cardstock. This is the Christmas die, and I got it from this memory box edition on Practical Publishing. It was from last year. I don't know which one it was. I don't have the magazine anymore, but I just grabbed the Christmas die out. I already filmed this. But I forgot to turn one of the lights on, so I apologise that it's going to be a little dark, and I do need to move my mat up a little bit. And remember that I need to work in that surface area because otherwise I'm out of frame. I'm going to add some glue to the back of it. Still getting used to this glue bottle. It's the first time I've used it with Helmar glue. I had another brand of glue in it, but it was impossible to get it to come out. Took a lot of effort to squeeze it, so now I've changed back to Helmar. I just couldn't get it where I usually bought it for a while. I'm going to press it down a minute, then I'm going to add a small amount of glue to the tittle. Now I have these vines for Melinda, but I'm not sure they're going to be small enough, so I'm just going to have a look. Pretty sure I'm going to want something smaller, although these are really pretty. I think they're a little too big for the card. I also have these little ones. Let's see if they work. Again, a little too big and I don't want to waste any of them. I'll keep them for another project. I have these dies from Alina Cuddle. She has an AliExpress store and an Amazon store. And I'm thinking of trying this tiny little one, and I can chop it down to pieces for what I need. Because I don't know exactly what I need, I'm going to cut a few. Going to run this through my die cut machine a bunch of times. I'm going to try some quick colouring with the same colours I used on the tree. G29, G28 and G19. I am going to do that on a bunch of these leaves and then I'll come back. I have the circle push here from the Lawn Fawn push here stamp set. Might have to stamp it a couple of times. I will use the die to run it through a die cutting machine. I'm going to add a little bit of glue to the back of the push here. Did not mean to smush that around. I am going to trim some of these before it dries too much. Add some glue to the back of this. Actually, I need to trim this little branch off as well. And I'm just going to add some little bits of glue onto the back of it. I should put that back in for now while I'm working on this bit. I've actually put that a little too high, so I'm going to have to re-stick all this down. Luckily on the glitter paper you can barely see where it's been. And then I'm just going to trim this little bit of excess off. I left the tab in and lined it up with that. I have these little half pearl type things that I got from Alina's, and I've just grabbed size out that I thought looked good. And I'm going to use it as a little doorknob. And then I'm going to put that one aside and I'm going to do the same to this one without the push here, and I'll be back. Now I have Lawn Fawn's offset sayings Christmas, and I'm just going to grab the Merry. I'm going to take a very thin piece of the foam tape and add it behind the Merries. Have this little bit of leftover leaves that I will end up putting in the packet with the die. Just going to grab some of these little gold baubles. I'm going to add these little gems on. And there is one card done. And for some reason on this one you can really see the tree behind it, but with the dark red in this background and the paper I chose for that background and the dark door, it makes it a lot harder to see the tree in this one until you push the button. Here are my finished cards. We'll start with the easy one. Instead of doing these vines, just could have quite easily put a white or gold frame, even a red frame around the outside, and not used all these vines. Still could have added some pearls, whatever you like, but of course I had to overcomplicate it and add some vines. And then of course the more complicated one. Here's an up close look at it. It's harder to see the tree behind it in this one. I don't know why. I find it quite easy to see the tree in this one. Exactly the same vellum. It's just a lot harder to see. It might be because I've pierced most of the Christmas lights, and so the Christmas lights seem to make it brighter on that one. In any case, can pull out the tab and press the button and get the Christmas lights. I also don't know why I have two different colours of Christmas lights. They all came from the same set off Ali. That's probably why. But I have decided 9 lights is far too many. Next time I am going to probably cap it at 5 or make sure there's a big enough gap, because it was quite hard to get these ones work because they are so close together. As you can see, sometimes they don't all want to work together. I hope you enjoyed my 2 cards, the somewhat easier card and the way more complicated. There are plenty of tutorials for using both these little lights and these LED lights. I used these ones this time. I have used these in the past when I couldn't get them to work. This time I managed to get the little 5mm ones to work, so I was very happy with that, because it's a lot harder to stick the ones with the prongs down when you're using a lot of them, especially in such tight places. I have another discount code for you today. The discount code is tab15. If you put that into Melinda's website, Scrapbooking link below, it will give you a 15% off discount. Melinda also has a sale on right now, and the code works with the sale as well, so you can save some extra money. Lots of awesome goodies on sale. I still have this door I made that didn't work. I was hoping it would work on there, but the tree just would not show up through having the gap underneath, so I'm going to use that for something else. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to see more content like this, and hit the bell notification to know when new videos come out. I will leave a link to Melinda's website down below, as well as the discount code in Melinda's channel. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.